Hey everybody. So today I'm going to be cupping, and cupping is the term we use to describe the process of testing two Li Shan Oolong teas side by side. It's going to be a roasted and a green oolong. A green oolong is an oolong that it has been roasted, yes, but just roasted enough to seal in that fresh green flavor, but not enough so as that roast flavor is very obvious. So I'm going to talk to you about some of the basics of cupping. And one of the things you want to keep in mind when we're cupping tea is you want to have two identical cupping sets, and then you want to have your tea weighed out. So here I've weighed out 5 grams of each of these teas. And so then I'll be able to brew it with the same temperature water, and we're going to brew it for the exact same amount of time. We'll be able to taste them side by side and see what are the attributes of each tea. Now when you're cupping tea, it is important to do the tasting at the same time, because if we were to wait, for example, to cup one tea today and one tea tomorrow, there are so many variables that might influence the way that we perceive that taste on any given day. There's the weather, there's our mood, there's the temperature, there's the light, there's what we've eaten, how much sleep we've gotten, for example, or lack thereof, as is in my case, because we recently got a puppy. And so I was up at 3 in the morning helping the puppy get back to sleep. So now our water is up to a boil, just about. And my first step is I'm gonna heat and rinse this teaware. So I'll start by doing that, just by adding the hot water here into the empty tea vessel. No tea has been added yet. We're just giving these a rinse and a little rinse over the top. We'll let that water continue to heat, so it's at the highest temperature possible. And then I'm just gonna pour that hot water into the bowl so that we can heat this teaware. Okay. Now that water has really come to a boil, I'm going to make sure I've got my timer ready to go here. 3 minutes. Turn that off. And so I've started the timer. But you might have noticed that I finished pouring this tea here before I started the timer. And as long as we're aware of that, you can kind of keep track in your mind, like, okay, 3, 5, 10 seconds went by, and you can stop the timer. Honestly, the most important thing is not to get exactly 3 minutes, but that's a good range of time. And meaning that you could do it anywhere from 2 minutes and 30 seconds to about 3 minutes is kind of the optimal range. Now Li Shan, the area that these teas are from, is a really special area in my heart. It's a really special area as far as oolong production. Now one of the crazy things about Li Shan for me is when I was first getting into oolong tea and I was living in Taiwan, I didn't start off drinking Li Shan tea. Okay, it was pretty rare and it only came by once in a while, and the price was pretty hefty. So for example, I started off with the Nantou area, Lugu, and then I worked my way, so like Dongding and that area. Then I worked my way up to Shanlinqi, and all Li Shan as well, in these central Taiwanese mountain ranges. And after a lot of experience with those teas, I eventually got my hands on some Li Shan. Now there's a moment when I was sitting in my living room in Taiwan, and I had a tea table, and I was sitting at the tea table, and I weighed out 5 grams of the Li Shan, and I steeped it this exact same way. And when I tasted that tea, I was transformed. And from that moment, my life has never been the same, because that's the moment I refer to as kissed by the dragon. That's the moment I was kissed by the dragon. Now, in this case, the dragon is the oolong tea, right? So it's a kissed by the dragon. And ever since then, I've been chasing the dragon. I've been trying to get that same quality of tea and to experience that quality of tea, because in that moment when I tried that tea, I realized that this experience was so profound and so special, and the flavor, the aroma, the mouthfeel, how transformative it was to my mind, body, spirit, all of my energetic senses. I said to myself, I have got to try this. I have got to experience this tea every day. From that moment on, I was transformed. Our timer is going off, and we're gonna decant these teas. Now again, I know that there's a slight difference between these two and the time. And so, if we were cupping tea to decide which tea to buy, you'd want to try your best to get them on an equal footing or equal parameters. And to do that, you might do this one first, and then after a couple seconds go by, do this one here, okay? But these are already teas that are in the JT collection, and I just wanted to do a simple comparative process of a green Li Shan Oolong and a roasted Li Shan Oolong. Now already I can smell. Well, let's look at these colors here. You can see this is the green one here, and then this is the roasted. So there is an oxidation and slight color difference between these two teas. You see this roasted one's darker, this one's greener, more vibrant. Okay, so here's the view from behind the tea bar. And here on the left, we have the green, High Mountain Green, Li Shan. And we can see the color of the liquid here. Very light, very green, almost like a translucent green. And then on the right, sorry, that was the left. Now we have the slightly redder, slightly browner, redder color. And this is the roasted here. This is the roasted Li Shan. So you guys, this is the way that real tea professionals in Taiwan evaluate tea. And so now let's talk about this piece of equipment here, the porcelain spoon. So this is a really fun tool, and you use it like a ladle. You can scoop 2 to 3 scoops of your tea into your cup here. And then once there's no liquid in the spoon, or it's just done scooping, and we get the aroma. Because how we evaluate the aroma of tea, and I've said this before, but I hope you guys aren't bored of hearing this, but the aroma of tea is evaluated by what's residual, what's left behind. Because if we smell that liquid tea, okay, sometimes it smells good, sometimes it doesn't. But the thing is that the liquid, the water, changes the way that the aroma is presented. So how we evaluate aroma is with a dry piece of porcelain that has been dipped in the tea. Another fun tool for evaluating aroma is what's known as an aroma cup. And what you do in that case is you fill these with tea first, and then you pour that into your cup, and then you can smell the empty aroma cup. And again, we're evaluating the aroma of the tea by the residual, what's left behind, because the tea polyphenols and all the sort of the tea sticks to the spoon, and that's what we're smelling. In this case, it's a floral, really beautiful, somewhat tropical fruit. Just, it's kind of creamy, it's kind of textural in the aroma alone, so it's just an amazing aroma there. It's a really nice tea. It hits you off the bat with all kinds of different things going on. And that's why we love these great teas. I want to tell you guys a little story too, though. about one of my adventures in the tea exploration. So one of my trips back to Taiwan after I'd moved home, and I was involved in the tea business, is I went back to Taiwan, and a friend lent me their car to be able to explore some of the tea mountains. Now this person was one of my tea mentors, but they didn't have time to go with me on this particular occasion. So they were too busy with their business. Okay, you can borrow my car. And I had planned it out, and I was gonna go I had a route that I had planned out because I knew I was going to get to Li Shan. I had to see for my own eyes the step-by-step production and how the tea in Li Shan was produced. I had another friend, another mentor, another friend that taught me and helped me with so many teas, and he had a farm in Li Shan. So my plan was to go visit him. He was up in the mountains. So I drove from one first mountain town up to the next mountain town, and I was getting up and up into the mountains. Each of these towns would be smaller than the last. And I was about to I left that one last town, and I'm making my way up to Li Shan, the way that the map told me to go, and the way that the main road and all that, the paved road. But as I was coming around the curve and the sun was shining and I was rounding the curve, I saw out of the corner of my eye a sign, and it said Li Shan. It was spray painted on a piece of plywood. It wasn't a sign. It said Li Shan and had an arrow, and it was pointing. I said to myself as I kept driving, what do you think? What do you think the odds are? Should I take that road? Well, sure enough, I circled back and I turned off the paved road onto a gravel dirt road, and I followed that road through the mountains. And somewhere along the way, I met somebody. I know I had reassured myself, sure, Li Shan's this way. Yes, it's that way. Okay, great. I'm going the right way. And I think when I stopped to ask those people, they said, up ahead, there's some police officers. And I was very scared at that point because I didn't have a Taiwanese driver's license. And I thought, oh no, this is it. I'm cooked. I'm going down. The tea business is going down. This is horrible. So I just stayed there for a while, contemplating, what should I do? Well, I just figured, I'm just gonna do my best. So I travel down the road, and sure enough, there was 2 police officers sitting on either side of the road. And this already is pretty much in the middle of nowhere. So I think that me showing up and just being like, hi, how's it going? They were just like, go ahead, man. They did not want anything to do with that situation. I don't think they would have known what to do, or I'm not sure, but they were just fine. They said, go ahead. So I did eventually make it, and after several more hours of driving, I made it to the Li Shan, what is known as the Li Shan area, at the top of the mountain, basically. What I hadn't planned on is that my cell phone that I was using at that time, the cell phone company, it doesn't work in Li Shan. There's only one, I think it was called Taiwan Da Ga Da. Taiwan Da Ga Da works in Li Shan, but whatever mine was, Xinhua, or I forget what the names of these cell phones were, it didn't work. So I couldn't call my friend. I didn't know exactly where his farm was. So I just pulled over. I saw a guy selling tea. I asked him, I said, can I use your phone? Sure. I called my friend. My friend says, oh, Josh, you're up here on the top of the mountain. Where are you? I don't know. I handed the guy selling tea, I handed him the phone, and he explained. So my friend came to get me. And then I spent several nights studying and watching the production of the Li Shan tea. Now, it was a funny and somewhat torturous trip. I had to suffer quite a bit. I barely slept that night because I had decided I was going to get up before sunrise to go with the tea people that were going to pick tea. So we stayed up late drinking tea. I went to sleep in a small shack that, you know, there was sort of a makeshift bed. I had my sleeping bag. But as I was going to sleep and I looked up, there was spiders. It was a spider web sort of system. And I don't like spiders, so I was just sort of like staying awake until I couldn't stay awake anymore. And then once I fell asleep, okay, then a few hours later, I woke up to go pick tea. That was one of the things that was challenging about that trip. And there's a few more, but I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. I gotta taste this roasted tea. The green is a little bit more, it's bright for sure, but there's a little bit of more, it's a lot more like green tea, except it has more of a kind of floral note and kind of tropical fruit. Let's go for this roasted now. And right off the bat, I'm getting the kind of toasted corn, some nuttiness, some roasted root vegetable. And that flavor is more mature. It's more appropriate for a kind of somewhat cloudy day like today. It's really delicious. The kind of reminds me of a pie, a berry pie, or some kind of roast, something out of the oven. Again, it has that, definitely that oven roasted oolong flavor. It's not so over roasted. It's sort of a good balance between the green and the roast. Oh, now let's try this. Let's combine both of them just for fun. We like to know the rules so we can break the rules. Wow, you know, that's really good. It'd be really fun to blend these. All right, thanks for watching, y'all. And whatever you do, be sure and have fun with your tea. Okay, take care.